Hi, I'm Sean with Sleeper Cars Anonymous LLC. I wanted to show you a cheap front accessory drive option when you have low hood clearance for the LS. So check this out. Step number one, in my opinion, is to get a Chevy Camaro water pump. Get the Camaro water pump from 2010. 2010 Camaro water pump has the same crank spacing as the truck accessory drive. And this was step two. So I went ahead and cut this bracket. This is the same bracket that had the alternator on top of it right here. The hideous truck accessory drive stuff. And what was happening is it was gonna hit my hood. I wasn't able to close my hood with that. So I cut all of this off. You only need these two bolts, this one right here and this one right here. Cut everything else off so that you can actually still keep that power steering pump, which is nice and low. Another thing that I did was I made this alternator setup. So I measured how much spacing I needed for the belt and for right here. And then I cut this part of the alternator off and ran a bolt through it. That way it holds the alternator there. This is super solid. Now, if you can see on the back, see, I actually got two of these things. You recognize this? This was on the back of the cylinder head on the other setup. So this piece right here, it used to be on the back of the cylinder head. It's supposed to protect, you know, if you got hit and it went on the back of the fuel rail. I took it off. This is how it's set up in here. So I actually punched this out, drilled the hole out a little bit, and put a bolt through this. And then you put it in the bolt on the back of the cylinder head. Then you can use this right here to line up this back side of your alternator. So now, what you would need is, so I used that. It actually spaces out pretty perfectly and lines up the alternator where it needs to be. Just tighten it up really good. And then I used a spacer and a few washers on this. This right here. This is super solid. This is not going anywhere. I'm moving the entire motor when I do that. The last piece of this whole contraption is I wanted a tensioner, a belt tensioner. Now keep in mind, this is my personal setup. This is the most budget personal setup that I could even do and still get performance out of it. Running a speed density tune. I'll go into the build later. But this is what we do. So there's two holes on the front of the cylinder head right here. You use spacers and you space out your same tensioner that was on this side for your water pump with the truck accessories. So you can use this same setup. Turns out these bolt holes are close enough to where it actually won't cross thread. So what you do is you put those bolt holes in there, you get it spaced out, you tighten it up really good, and now you have a self-tensioning front accessory drive for like 50 bucks for an LS. The things that are going to cost the most are probably this long bolt that goes right here and the nut for the end. And then this will take a long time to cut because it takes forever to cut through that. And that's about it. So just the spacers and those bolts should cost less than 50 bucks. That's if you don't count the water pump. If you count the water pump, it's like $100. But this makes it so that it all fits under the hood. Look at that clearance right there. This means turbo headers can go around that. You can get all kinds of things around it. Now, never mind my hose setup here. I'm actually planning on turboing this thing, and I'm getting rid of that whole hose setup. But I wanted to give this option of a cheap front accessory drive because this saved me a lot of money, and I wish I had seen something like this before. So again, I'm Sean with Sleeper Cars Anonymous LLC. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Peace.